be or not to be? Not to be.
Three words: Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. A blockbuster giant of the 80s and 90s that basically wrote the book on action hero.
No shit.
Arnold started from humble beginnings as a bodybuilder, nabbing the title Mr. Universe, firmly setting his eyes on Hollywood, with his first actual role as Hercules in New York, and then on to Conan, where he got some traction, and then finally sealing the deal with Terminator. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who hasn't seen one of his movies or at least heard of the guy, with one of the most prolific film catalogs to date. With action films like Commando, True Lies, then all-time great sci-fi films like Terminator 1 and 2, Predator, Total Recall, and Running Man.
Chill out, dickwad.
And sure, you had the all-time greats like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood paving the way ahead of time, but I believe Arnold was the quintessential action star of the 80s, with Stallone being a close runner-up. And this momentum carried this powerhouse all the way through the 90s into the early 2000s, with his foray into comedies like Kindergarten Cop and Twins, and the man even started his own satire, Last Action Hero. But I think it was the mid-90s where the muscle-bound action hero began to wane and cracks started to form in the foundation. Most of these films were still good, not up to the standard of Arnold's previous work, but when was the last time you talked about Eraser, Junior, or today's subject matter, The Sixth Day? A 2002 action flick set in the near future where cloning is a hot topic issue, with it being literally put into everything: organ regrowth, meat processing, and pet resurrection. Now, supposedly human cloning is banned, but when has that stopped the rich and powerful from exploiting tech for their own gain? For the movie at least, it comes in the form of a corporation, Replacement Industries, headed by the billionaire Michael Drucker with his top scientist Dr. Weir, who are cloning the rich and powerful behind the scenes and putting them back into place in case they die. And in comes our leading man, playing the owner of a charting company, Adam Gibson.
Happy birthday!
Oh! You gotta always protect the McNuggets.
Adam's company gets hired by Drucker to take him up to the ski slopes, but surprisingly, the head of a corporation suspected of human cloning may have some enemies. Now here's the kicker. In the event that Drucker gets killed, certain protocols go into effect, cloning Drucker, and the company erases the whole ordeal, meaning employees and other staff, like charter company staff who may have been killed, will also get cloned and then slip back into society, covering up the company's tracks. And how this is done is actually pretty clever. Before Drucker bites the laser blast, Adam and his partner, Hank, have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and take a test of sorts. The syncording, masquerading as a vision and a blood sampler. Now this thing is actually a smart idea on the writer's part, and I'll get back to this in a minute, but what this thing is doing is taking a small sample of DNA and a quick flash to more or less photocopy your mind, backing up your memories and your personality up to that point. But Adam cheats death by swapping places with Hank to deal with the family issue in the form of Repet. Because the family dog sadly passed away that day, Adam's wife tells him to go and get the dog cloned before the daughter gets home to save her the whole trauma. There's a time skip for a few hours, and Adam gets to the mall. Things are off. The guy at the store already knows about the dog and claims to have seen Adam before, but Adam has no recollection. This kind of freaks Adam out, giving him second thoughts, and he decides to get his daughter a different present to soften the blow of a lost pet in the form of one of the creepiest dolls I have ever seen in my life. If you thought Chucky or Annabelle was creepy, they ain't got nothing on this thing. What the heck, dude? Not only will your kid be heartbroken about the dog, but she's gonna have nightmares from this thing. Look at it.
Would you like to sing with me?
Excuse me,
And I caught this on basic cable back in the day, and I imagine if I would have caught it here at this particular moment, my feelings would be a lot different than what they are today.
Hurry up, there's a new action film I really want to see.
A few moments later.
Yeah, but it's when Adam gets home that things get real interesting. Dude has been cloned. All while Adam is having his existential crisis, 4 stooges show up to deal with the extra. And I truly mean these guys are morons. Not only do they fumble the grab, but one of them even gets kidnapped and interrogated.
Crazy. Why does anyone want to kill me?
He got home first. You saw him. He didn't see you. You're screwed.
Only to be shot by her own teammate a few minutes later. And by the way, the same teammate who shot her gets launched out of his car and gets ran over by not 1, but 2 cars. Damn, that is bad. Adam makes his escape via swan dive, ending the chase, and then making a beeline for the police station, only to be told to wait because, surprise, surprise, the cops are on the payroll. While Adam is waiting, the henchmen that were just killed are being recloned just so they can go back after the guy. And that's a large chunk of this movie. Adam runs into these 4, kills 1 or 2 of them, and escapes. Just to have to do it again with the clones a few minutes later.
You're dead.
No. You're dead.
Doesn't anyone stay dead anymore?
Best mindfuck yet.
Adam runs to talk to his buddy Hank and fills him in on everything that's gone on, the same friend that we saw get iced early on in the movie. So yeah, he's a clone. These 2 head back to Adam's house to deal with the supposed imposter, but Adam can't bring himself to do it. Instead, heading back to Hank's where someone is lying in wait. Turns out this dude is on a mission from God to end all cloning, though the movie doesn't really specify what this dude's end goal is or his ultimate plan other than popping everyone he knows as a clone. The 2 get into a tussle with Soldier Boy getting hit in the gut and fleeing to the garage. Are you joking? This dude is driving a 1999 Volkswagen Beetle? No shade here, no shade. They're reliable little cars, but they stand out like a sore thumb. Anybody who's wanting to blend in with the public should pick something a little bit more common. The groovy bro spills the beans, giving a bit more info about Dr. Weir, the scientist responsible for the whole mess, and then gets his memory flashed.
Shoot me in the head.
What the hell are you talking
Look,
about?
we have people at Weir's lab. I know who they are. If they scan my brain, they'll be killed. God forgive me.
Now that's a pretty interesting idea. The syncording is able to copy somebody's brain activity even a few hours after death. So that means Drucker's henchmen get their syncording updated to the last available second from the previous incarnation. So that means lines like this aren't that stupid.
Now what? Feels tight all across here where the tires ran over me, you know?
You were run over by 2 cars and your chest was crushed.
It's in your mind. Completely crushed. As in dead.
And I gotta say, the blaster pistols in this movie are gnarly. They sever limbs with ease and burn clean through whatever they hit, kind of like shooting lightsabers. Adam's able to get away again.
You're gonna pay! Those are brand new boots!
The movie kind of makes a detour to follow Dr. Weir for a bit. His wife, who's already died once, meaning she's a clone, is in the hospital with a disease that usually only affects children. After she passes, Weir starts investigating and learns most of the clones have some kind of disease embedded in the genetic makeup, so they expire after a few years. But before he can confront Drucker about it, Adam breaks into the building and meets with Dr. Weir. Weir explains how the whole cloning process works and their mistake, why he was cloned in the first place, showing Drucker's last moments before he was killed.
Hey. No, you don't have to. Sorry.
Alright, now this is where the movie fumbles. Drucker's assassin wanted to be shot in the brain to prevent his syncording from being taken. Drucker was clearly shot in the head, so there should be no syncording up to this moment. I know it's so the movie can happen, but maybe a different shot could have happened, like a blast decapitating him, and his last few seconds could have been him looking up at the roof of the cockpit and security running the dodo off before he can finish the job. Just something other than a obvious headshot. It just seems like a flub the writers left in. Adam steals Drucker's syncording and heads to protect his family until he can expose Drucker safely. And this next part is kind of a nice touch if you're a fan of Terminator.
Get out.
Destination, get out. Not understood.
Get out.
And to no one's surprise, the family gets nabbed and the 2 Adams meet.
I'm Adam Gibson. What?
But we don't have enough time for you to be shocked right now. And I need your help to get my family back.
They are my family.
Weir wraps up his story by confronting Drucker, who can coordinate his teams to clone Weir in a matter of hours and use his previous scene recording to erase their entire conversation. So what do you think happens?
And obviously you won't remember this conversation. You're welcome.
There's an arrangement for a swap, the scene recording for the family. Adam doesn't fall for the obvious trap, instead remote piloting a helicopter is a distraction while he breaks into Drucker's building, again, destroying all security cameras before he gets caught. Now, if I was a villain and I was somewhat intelligent, the smart thing to do at this point would probably have my security do a full sweep of the building, especially with all my cameras out, just in case somebody else slipped in when nobody was looking to free my said hostages. To which the other Adam does exactly that, rescuing the family, getting them back to safety using the helipad that he arrived in on. Now back with the other Adam, he is finally meeting with Drucker, and all the way through I've been kind of dancing around this, but who is the actual clone? And that gets answered in this next scene, a scene I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. There's no beating around the bush, the scene outright tells you which is which.
Adam. He's not the clone. You are. Talia, how many times have you been cloned?
I've lost count.
There's one way to tell. It's the only way to keep track of what generation a clone is. See? 4 dots means she's been cloned 4 times. Just under your left eye.
Kind of takes the fun out of being alive, doesn't it?
Kinda sucks because it doesn't leave any room for speculation for the viewer, something the film misses out on, since there's no reason to go back and rewatch this movie for clues like there is in Total Recall. However, in defense of this movie, a company would have a way of marketing their products. It's simple, but it makes sense. Plus, this little interaction helps flesh out the mindset these people have. In their heads, it's kind of like respawning at the last checkpoint. Even though they do die and the next clone has the memory of that death along with the trauma imprinted on their brain. A major problem in the long run with possible psychosis setting in, but for brain dead henchmen like this, you could do worse. And this also explains why they have such a cynical way of approaching things.
Give me a break. I got killed twice in 2
Alright,
hours.
knock it off. They've all been killed before.
Adam tells Drucker off.
And you should clone yourself while you're still alive.
And why's that? So I can understand your unique perspective?
No. So you can go fuck yourself.
That's gotta hurt.
And they take his scene recording by force, only to find out they've been had.
The other one was sitting behind him so we couldn't see him. Look. The bastard faked his own sync cord.
Adam breaks free, getting Drucker shot in the process from the same goofball who fucked up earlier in the movie. Though I can't really make fun of this dude because he at least exercised that demon in the very beginning of the movie.
Somebody do something about that damn doll!
I have a boo-boo.
But Drucker feels differently.
Well, just wait 1 second.
Not again! Don't bring it back.
While Drucker gets his next life started, Adam moves around, offing the rest of the bad guys and destroying the facility to make sure it's permanent this time. This messes with the clones in production, meaning Drucker's clone comes out a little undercooked.
I gotta get dressed. You're not even gonna wait until I die? Would you?
Dude looks like a hard-boiled egg, but he's still an asshole. After Adam finally destroys enough of the facility, he goes and has a heart-to-heart with Drucker.
Absolutely no reason to kill me. I didn't do anything to you. It was all him. I can rebuild all of this in a very short time. I can still save you, Adam.
Save me.
We put congenital defects into the clone DNA to give the clones short lifespans.
He answers this by destroying the memory vault and smacking the piss out of Drucker.
When I say you should screw yourself, I didn't mean for you to take it literally.
After setting some explosive, Adam makes his way up to the roof, trying to hold the helipad, waiting for the other Adam to show up. And the shootout is pretty cool. Sadly, no limbs go flying. After all, this is a PG-13 movie, and we've already had an F-bomb and a side boob, so any more and this would have gotten an R. Sad, but true. Adam finally makes it back to the helipad, but Adam gets hit in the leg by Drucker. Not this Adam, but that Adam. Not to be confused with that Adam, or this Adam, or possibly this Adam. The two Adams swap the gun for the remote control so the capable one can defend while the one that's Hurt can pilot the helicopter, and Drucker is on top of a roof just begging to be pushed off. They make their escape right before the building goes up. Clone Adam says goodbye to the family before he takes over the charter operations in another part of the country. And that was The Sixth Day. A movie that has a lot of big ideas, all of which were executed better elsewhere. That's the problem with this movie. It has a whole been there, done that feel. The cerebral plot with Arnold Schwarzenegger was done better in Total Recall, and even to an extent the action was better due to that film having an R rating while The Sixth Day was saddled with a PG-13. And since this was the 2000s, everybody wanted to hit that PG-13 rating. Nobody wanted an R for some reason, but I feel an R rating could have helped this movie. And the argument that Drucker constantly brings up all throughout the movie, or more or less just hypothetical situations he clearly wants to exploit, could easily be countered by Malcolm's famous monologue from Jurassic Park.
Gee, the lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here staggers me.
I suppose you think science is inherently evil.
In what you're doing here, genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
If you believe that God created man in his own image, then you also believe that God gave man the power to understand evolution, to exploit science, to manipulate the genetic code, to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just taking over where God left off.
That's what you call discovery. I call the rape of the natural world.
And that whole conversation in Jurassic Park was summed up in a few minutes, while The Sixth Day tackles the same argument with the subtlety of a brick to the face, constantly repeating the same quote from the book of Genesis from start to end. The movie even opens up with that very quote plastered on the screen. Maybe the writer thought he was being clever, but all it did was come off as repetitive. Even though the whole idea of whether an artificial human had the right to exist or not was the whole plot to Blade Runner. And that's the problem with this film. It seems like they smashed a whole bunch of ideas together in a generic action movie and hoped no one would notice. And it's not helped that plot lines are dropped or patched over with a single line of dialogue, like the activist/terrorist group trying to kill all clones are in the movie up till this guy dies. Once he bites the bolt, they are never mentioned again. And the issue with the clones being infected with garbage DNA seems to have skipped over Adam. He's given a clean bill of health from some random doctor off screen because the movie wanted it to have a happy ending, I guess.
They're really human. To have a soul. Well, your DNA scan came back normal, didn't it? Yeah. 0 defects. Just like a repeat commercial.
And listen, I like happy endings. Happy endings make me happy. But this ending feels tacked on badly, and it felt like the movie was aiming for something a little bittersweet, like maybe the clone Adam sacrifices himself to save the family. Something else in that vein, but instead we get this half-assed ending instead. In the movie's defense, it does have a few things going for it, like the cast for example. Arnold is good as always. He'll get you from beginning to end, no issue. And going back and rewatching this makes me appreciate what they did back in the day when they didn't have CG to patch over everything. They used careful editing and careful placement for body doubles to give you the appearance that the same actor was playing two different roles. And it's techniques like this that YouTubers today use. I've used this a couple of times in my own videos. And it's something that Hollywood has just kind of forgotten and just uses CGI to patch over nowadays. The Goon Squad, headed up by Michael Rooker's character, aside from being complete morons, are some of the most memorable parts of the film. With how little regard they have for their own lives, or each other for that matter, it's probably the only reason I don't see them as repetitive. They're funny and probably the least intimidating henchmen I've ever seen in my life. Sadly, everyone else is kind of forgettable, playing cliche roles like Drucker for example. The main bad guy talks a big game with one-sided speeches, but the dude doesn't really stand out. He doesn't blow his top or show any kind of emotion outside of his cliche villain death. But the only way I remember this movie is the tech. The cars are box standard cars for the 90s and 2000s. All they did was swap out the steering wheel. But the screen in the middle of the dash is pretty close to what we got now. It's been a long time since I heard anyone mention OnStar though. They completely nailed it with the fridge and the tap to pay. This is another thing that I like about the movie, the scene courting. It proposes an answer to a question that many movies with clones have. You can make a perfect duplicate of a person down to a scratch on the cheek. What about the personality and memories associated with that scratch? Because after all, genetic memory only gets you so far, so essentially that clone would be a blank slate with no active memory or experiences to make up the personality. If the clone wakes up, it would be an infant more or less. The syncording closes that loop by acting like a cloned hard drive for a new computer. Now I'm sure someone can argue that the science behind this is real shaky, but I feel it gives the movie a little bit more authenticity and credit. And I don't know if there's something like the Whispercraft yet. If there is, someone hit me up and let me know, will you? If I had to recommend the movie to anyone, I would go down a long list of films before I hit this one. It's not terrible, it's just middle of the road. Kind of forgettable in places because it's so bog standard. And I imagine if The Sixth Day was adapted to a miniseries, it'd probably do better. The characters and factions are there for something a little longer winded, and I can imagine it'd probably go into the issue with being cloned multiple times and having that trauma of dying imprinted on your brain. But the movie as it is, with its 2-hour runtime and repeating plot points, if you're not a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger or 2000 action flicks in general, I couldn't imagine this holding anyone's attention much more.